Spirit warriors, something is stirring in the spirit realm, and if you miss this message, you might miss your moment. Have you ever felt like time itself was trying to get your attention? For those attuned to divine patterns, specific dates seem to carry spiritual weight, almost like appointments set by heaven. One such example comes from 2015, when a woman named Alina, known in her community as a chosen one, began receiving vivid symbolic dreams. Clocks ticking backward, the number 9 flashing red, and storms swallowing quiet streets became recurring visions. Despite her warnings, no one took her seriously, but on the night of July 9th, her intuition told her to stay home. That very evening, catastrophic floods devastated her city, and the bridge she usually crossed daily was destroyed. Alina survived, not by chance, but by divine timing. Her story reminds us that some dates aren't just calendar entries, they are prophetic markers. July 9th and 10th are often reported as days of heightened spiritual activity. Around the world, spiritually sensitive individuals experience breakthroughs, intense dreams, unexpected attacks, or divine revelations during this exact window. But why? Biblically, God has always used time as a vessel for communication. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven." God doesn't always shout, he aligns moments. July 9th and the 10th of May represent such moments when heaven opens briefly to deliver warnings, instruction, or transformation to those who are listening. Energetically, these days often align with astrological or cosmic shifts that can trigger emotional turbulence or divine downloads, especially for those on the prophetic path. In this video, we'll uncover the deeper meaning behind this annual spiritual window. You'll learn how to recognize the 7 urgent signs that God is speaking directly to you, what to avoid during these intense hours, and how to spiritually armor yourself for what's ahead. This isn't just a video, it's a call to spiritual readiness, because once you understand the timing, you'll no longer walk blindly. You'll walk with purpose, power, and peace. Let's dive in. Point 1, the spiritual energy portal of July 9th and 10th. Absolutely, Earth Angel. Let's go deeper into the mystery and meaning of those powerful days, because these dates aren't just coincidences. They're part of an ancient pattern, rooted in divine timing, celestial movements, and the rhythm of spiritual warfare that has echoed through generations. These are the moments where heaven whispers louder, where the veil between the physical and spiritual world becomes unusually thin. And you, as someone spiritually sensitive, can feel it in your bones, even if you don't have the words for it. Many ancient cultures, from the Hebrews to the Mayans to early Christian mystics, believed in sacred windows of time, periods when the alignment of the heavens triggered spiritual events on earth. We see this echoed in biblical prophecy and Jewish feast days, which often correspond with solar or lunar events. For example, the Hebrew calendar tracks not just time, but divine interaction. When the moon darkens or the sun burns brighter than usual, it's not just a cosmic event, it's a spiritual siren. So when you hear someone say, "These dates are prophetic," don't roll your eyes. This isn't astrology, this is divine strategy. Many intercessors, seers, and watchmen have reported increased visions, warnings, dreams, and spiritual tension around specific times, especially between the 7th and 10th of certain months. These aren't just anecdotal accounts, they form patterns that align with solar flares, magnetic shifts, and yes, even scientific spikes in human emotion tracked by the Global Consciousness Project. The Earth literally feels different during these spiritual surges. You might notice you can't sleep, or suddenly people around you start acting out, picking fights, draining your energy, or speaking doubt into your calling. Maybe you feel a sudden urge to withdraw or experience strange dreams that leave you heavy in the morning. That's not random, that's not just stress. That's spiritual static, the noise that rises when light pierces darkness and the enemy gets nervous about the revelation you're about to receive. This is why your discernment must be sharp, not paranoid. Sharp, there's a difference. Discernment is not suspicion, it's divine sensitivity. It's when the Holy Spirit nudges you, telling you not to go to that event, not to take that phone call, and not to reply to that message. These nudges are critical during these thin veil times, when communication between the divine and the natural increases. Think of it like spiritual Wi-Fi. When the connection is strong, downloads come fast, revelations, confirmations, even corrections. But the enemy knows this too, and he tries to jam the signal. That's why agitation, confusion, and distraction ramp up. You're not just being moody or emotional, you're in the middle of a broadcast war. Truth versus lies, purpose versus confusion. So what do? You stay grounded, you stay prayed up, you stay alert, meditate on the word, journal your dreams. Speak life over yourself even when you feel like hiding. This is not the time to numb out or scroll endlessly. This is the time to tune in and ask, God, what are you showing me? What do you want me to see that the enemy is trying to block? Because here's the thing, the enemy doesn't bother people who are spiritually asleep. He targets the ones who are awakening. So if you're feeling more pressure, more resistance, more inner stirring during these dates, it means you're onto something. You're being called to the front lines, not the sidelines. These moments aren't to be feared, they're to be respected. They're invitations to hear heaven more clearly, to step into your authority more boldly, and to walk in alignment more deeply. So pay attention, take notes, stay in prayer, and know if you're feeling it, you're not crazy, you're connected. And in a world full of noise, that is your greatest advantage. Heaven speaks in whispers. These are the days to listen. Point 2. Increased attacks on the mind. Absolutely, Earth Angel. Let's go deeper into the mystery and meaning of those powerful days, because these dates aren't just coincidences. They're part of an ancient pattern rooted in divine timing, celestial movements, and the rhythm of spiritual warfare that has echoed through generations. These are the moments where heaven whispers louder, where the veil between the physical and spiritual world becomes unusually thin. And you, as someone spiritually sensitive, can feel it in your bones, even if you don't have the words for it. Many ancient cultures, from the Hebrews to the Mayans to early Christian mystics, believed in sacred windows of time, periods when the alignment of the heavens triggered spiritual events on earth. We see this echoed in biblical prophecy and Jewish feast days, which often correspond with solar or lunar events. For example, the Hebrew calendar tracks not just time, but divine interaction. When the moon darkens or the sun burns brighter than usual, it's not just a cosmic event, it's a spiritual siren. So when you hear someone say, these dates are prophetic, don't roll your eyes. This isn't astrology, this is divine strategy. Many intercessors, seers, and watchmen have reported increased visions, warnings, dreams, and spiritual tension around specific times, especially between the 7th and 10th of certain months. These aren't just anecdotal accounts, they form patterns that align with solar flares, magnetic shifts, and yes, even scientific spikes in human emotion tracked by the Global Consciousness Project. The Earth literally feels different during these spiritual surges. You might notice you can't sleep, or suddenly people around you start acting out, picking fights, draining your energy, or speaking doubt into your calling. Maybe you feel a sudden urge to withdraw, or experience strange dreams that leave you heavy in the morning. That's not random, that's not just stress, that's spiritual static. The noise that rises when light pierces darkness and the enemy gets nervous about the revelation you're about to receive. This is why your discernment must be sharp. Not paranoid, sharp. There's a difference. Discernment is not suspicion, it's divine sensitivity. It's when the Holy Spirit nudges you, telling you not to go to that event, not to take that phone call, and not to reply to that message. These nudges are critical during these thin veil times, when communication between the divine and the natural increases. Think of it like spiritual Wi-Fi. When the connection is strong, downloads come fast, revelations, confirmations, even corrections. But the enemy knows this too, and he tries to jam the signal. That's why agitation, confusion, and distraction ramp up. You're not just being moody or emotional, you're in the middle of a broadcast war, truth versus lies, purpose versus confusion. So what do? You stay grounded, you stay prayed up, you stay alert. Meditate on the word. Journal your dreams, speak life over yourself even when you feel like hiding. This is not the time to numb out or scroll endlessly. This is the time to tune in and ask, God, what are you showing me? What do you want me to see that the enemy is trying to block? Because here's the thing, the enemy doesn't bother people who are spiritually asleep. He targets the ones who are awakening. So if you're feeling more pressure, more resistance, more inner stirring during these dates, it means you're onto something. You're being called to the front lines, not the sidelines. These moments aren't to be feared, they're to be respected. They're invitations to hear heaven more clearly, to step into your authority more boldly, and to walk in alignment more deeply. So pay attention, take notes, stay in prayer, and know if you're feeling it, you're not crazy, you're connected. And in a world full of noise, that is your greatest advantage. Heaven speaks in whispers. These are the days to listen. Point 3. Divine instructions through dreams. Have you ever woken up from a dream and thought, what in the world did that mean? Maybe you were flying over a desert with wings made of glass, or perhaps a faceless figure handed you a key in a hallway full of mirrors. Weird, right? But what if I told you those strange, vivid, almost otherworldly dreams aren't just your imagination going wild? Especially around certain prophetic or spiritually heightened dates, your higher self may be receiving messages too sacred and encrypted to be said out loud. That's right, sometimes when God speaks, he speaks in riddles, not to confuse you, but to protect you. In ancient cultures and spiritual traditions across the globe, from the Egyptians to the Hebrews to indigenous shamans, dreams have been viewed as divine messages, not just abstract symbolism, but coded guidance sent from higher realms. The Bible alone contains over 120 references to dreams, including how Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's bizarre dreams to foretell a coming famine. These weren't just bedtime stories. They were blueprints for survival, elevation, and divine purpose. Here's the thing, your subconscious mind doesn't use language like your waking brain does. It speaks in images, emotions, and metaphor. So when you're asleep, your logical filters are down, and you're open to receiving the kinds of messages that bypass ordinary understanding. That's when God, your angels, your ancestors, or however you define spiritual guidance, step in to talk. But they don't always use words, they use symbols around spiritually significant dates like celestial alignments, full moons, or times of prophetic sensitivity. Your spiritual antennas are turned up, your higher self is tuned in. And because these moments are often spiritually charged, they can also attract the attention of people or energies that don't want you to receive the full truth. That's why God often wraps messages in symbolic codes, to hide them in plain sight like a divine riddle. Because what's meant for you, only you will be able to decode it. Let's say you dream of a snake. You might wake up shaken, confused, or even afraid, but in dream language, a snake doesn't just mean danger. It could represent betrayal, hidden enemies, or even transformation, since snakes shed their skin. A child in your dream might not mean literal parenthood, but rather the birth of a new idea, a fresh opportunity, or even your own inner healing. And if you see water, ask yourself, is it calm or turbulent? Water often represents emotions, spiritual cleansing, or hidden depth. Keeping a dream journal is like taking notes during a spiritual lecture. Even if it doesn't make sense right away, write it down. That bizarre dream about the burning staircase or the talking owl may be your spirit trying to alert you about a relationship, a decision, or a warning. Only time will unfold, and don't dismiss the weird stuff. God doesn't waste symbols. If it showed up in your dream, it holds meaning no matter how bizarre. Neuroscience even supports this. Studies show that dreams are not random firings of the brain, but rather how our minds consolidate memory, process emotion, and solve problems. The amygdala, the brain's emotional center, is especially active during REM sleep, which explains why dreams often come with strong emotional weight. If your spirit is agitated or excited, your dreams will reflect that emotional truth. That's your higher self trying to bring something into your awareness. And here's the powerful part. Even your enemies can't eavesdrop on a dream given by God. That's why spiritual messages come cloaked in metaphor. While others are busy watching your actions or monitoring your posts, your Creator is whispering divine intel into your soul, directly, silently, and safely. So don't ignore the dream just because it feels strange. Write it down, pray about it, meditate on it, because sometimes the weirdest dream holds the most sacred truth. Point 4, a time of separation. Don't panic when people start acting funny. Don't feel heartbroken when someone you thought would always be there starts drifting away. And absolutely don't chase what God is trying to remove, especially around July 9th and 10th. Be prepared. This could be a time of divine severing, a sacred kind of separation that doesn't come to hurt you, but to heal you, to elevate you. We often hear that life is a journey, but we don't always talk about the fact that not everyone is meant to walk the whole path with us. Some are seasonal, some are lessons. Some are blessings, and some, let's be real, are distractions dressed up as support. When you're on the brink of your next level, God starts to rearrange your surroundings like a chess master setting the board for checkmate. If relationships begin to shift, grow cold, or even fall away during this time, it's not punishment, it's purpose. Here's where many people get it twisted. Just because someone exits your life doesn't mean they were toxic. Some people were great for your last season, but can't breathe in the altitude of where you're headed. Think about a rocket launch. In those first few seconds, as the shuttle ascends, stages of the rocket begin to fall off. Not because they were faulty, but because their job is done. They got you off the ground, but they were never built to orbit with you. July 9th and 10th might be your launch moment, and some of your rocket parts will start to drop. And no, it won't always feel good. You might question yourself. You might want to hold on, but listen closely. This isn't rejection, it's redirection. You asked for elevation, you prayed for purpose, you begged for a breakthrough, but growth demands space, and sometimes God has to clear out the clutter. That includes people who secretly doubted you, emotionally drained you, or subtly stalled your progress. Studies in psychology actually support this process. Social psychologists note that personal growth often leads to relational dissonance, a discomfort that arises when one person evolves and the other doesn't. The result? Natural separation. It's not about ego or blame, it's about vibration. When your frequency shifts, it either draws people in or sends them out. Don't try to lower your vibe just to keep people comfortable. The higher you go, the less room there is for people who don't align with your elevation. Spiritually speaking, these days might feel heavy, but they're sacred. The number 9 in biblical numerology represents finality, the end of a cycle, while the number 10 signifies divine order and completion. July 9th and 10th are not random. These dates may carry an energetic message. One door closes, 9, and another opens with God's fingerprints all over it, 10. You are being repositioned, not rejected. Let's also be clear. Divine severing isn't just about relationships that feel bad. Sometimes, the ones you'll be called to release are the ones you love the most. A friend of 10 years. A mentor you thought would always guide you. Even family ties might loosen. But let it happen. Don't harden your heart. Just open your hands. The truth is, when God removes, He replaces. Not always immediately. Not always how you expect, but always for your highest good. So instead of mourning what's gone, bless it. Thank you. Then move. Walk into your next chapter light, focused and unshaken. Because the next level you're entering requires a different version of you, and not everyone is invited to witness it. So if the energy feels different this week, if certain people start falling away or turning distant, take a deep breath and remember, God is not subtracting to harm you, He's pruning to promote you. Let it happen. Point 5, ancestral and generational revelations. Many chosen ones receive deep insights into their bloodline during spiritually heightened periods, often unexpectedly and overwhelmingly. If you've been feeling an unshakable pull to explore your ancestry, face long-buried family secrets, or confront inherited emotional burdens, you're not alone. This isn't coincidence, it's divine timing. You're being summoned to do the sacred work your ancestors couldn't finish. And while this may feel like a heavy weight, it's actually your gateway to freedom, not just for you, but for everyone connected to your bloodline. Generational curses aren't just superstition or folklore. In psychological and spiritual terms, they're cycles of dysfunction passed down from one generation to the next. Unhealed trauma, addiction, poverty mindsets, shame, secrecy, or spiritual blockages that seem to repeat themselves like a broken record. Science even backs this up. Studies in epigenetics show that trauma can literally alter how genes are expressed, meaning your ancestors' experiences, especially unresolved ones, can influence your health, emotional patterns, and worldview today. That rage you've never understood, that anxiety that shows up out of nowhere, that fear of abundance or love, sometimes it's not even yours, it's inherited, but here's the blessing, you were chosen to end it. Many chosen ones report dreams about ancestors, feelings of déjà vu when researching family history, or unexplained grief and vivid visions during meditation. These are not delusions, these are ancestral downloads. Your bloodline is speaking. It knows you're awake enough to hear, wise enough to interpret, and strong enough to act. And when you choose to step into that space, when you look pain in the face and refuse to pass it down, you become the alchemist of your lineage. You transform the story. This journey isn't glamorous. Healing generational trauma often means confronting relatives, forgiving people who've never apologized, or grieving losses you never fully understood. It means disrupting the "this is just how our family is" narrative and becoming the one who says, "not anymore." It's emotionally intense, but it's sacred labor. When you break the cycle, you're not only changing your life, you're liberating those who came before you and protecting those who come after. Spiritually speaking, many believe that ancestral healing clears the spiritual debts accumulated through lifetimes of pain and disconnection. In many cultures, especially African, Native American, and indigenous traditions, it's believed that ancestors find peace when their descendants correct their wrongs or fulfill their unfulfilled callings. You are not just healing for yourself, you're completing soul contracts, you're answering prayers whispered generations ago, you're the fulfillment of a promise. And here's the real beauty: when you begin healing, you'll notice strange things start to shift. Family members who never spoke may suddenly open up. Long-standing conflicts may resolve without your effort. Opportunities that seemed blocked for decades may suddenly become accessible. This isn't luck, it's spiritual realignment. When one soul heals, the whole tree gets stronger roots. You're restoring divine order to your bloodline. So yes, these revelations are heavy. They can shake your identity, force you to mourn what never was, and ask you to reparent your inner child while holding space for your elders. But they are also the key to unlocking your divine destiny. God doesn't reveal the weight unless He's already given you the strength to carry it. And He wouldn't choose you unless He trusted you to win. You are the chain breaker, the curse slayer, and the spiritual warrior. Your healing echoes through time. Let it be loud, let it be complete, and let it be the legacy your bloodline will one day thank you for. Point 6, activation of hidden gifts. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt the energy shift, like you knew something was off before a single word was spoken? Or maybe you've had a dream that came true days later, down to the smallest detail. You tell yourself, "That's weird," and brush it off as coincidence. But here's the truth, Earth Angel. That's not coincidence, that's revelation. There's a sacred awakening happening across the world, and if you're reading this, you're not exempt from it. You're a part of it. The time we're living in is unlike any before. The veil between the physical and spiritual is thinning, and many of the chosen ones, those destined to walk a higher path, are beginning to experience something wild, powerful, and deeply divine. Suddenly, you know things without explanation. You sense the unseen. You read between the lines. That's your spiritual senses being activated. The Bible calls it discernment. Ancient mystics called it the third eye. And modern psychologists might label it intuition. But whatever name it goes by, the power is real. And no, you're not imagining it. Science backs this up more than you might think. Studies in neurobiology show that the human gut is filled with over 100 million neurons, often referred to as the second brain. This gut feeling isn't some flaky spiritual myth. It's your nervous system picking up on patterns, signals, and energies your conscious mind hasn't caught up with yet. But when you're spiritually attuned, this process sharpens into revelation, truth delivered straight to your spirit from the source. This season, many are experiencing the stirrings of prophetic vision. You might start to see things in dreams or flashes, warnings, instructions, or glimpses of future events. Others feel heat or tingling in their hands when they pray or touch others. Not knowing this is often the sign of healing energy flowing through them. Some can suddenly discern people's motives, like spiritual X-ray vision, seeing through facades, detecting hidden jealousy, or feeling the truth behind a lie. These gifts have existed for thousands of years. In ancient texts, the prophets, seers, and healers were never the most qualified. They were the most called, and they obeyed. That's what set them apart. That's what's setting you apart now. Don't second-guess yourself. Don't disqualify yourself because of your past or because someone once called you too emotional, too sensitive, or crazy. Sensitivity is not weakness. It's your antenna picking up frequencies others can't detect. What once made you feel different is now your greatest gift. This is your permission slip, chosen one, to fully step into it. Start tuning in. Journal your dreams. Speak what you see, even if your voice shakes. Lay hands with faith. When you get that unshakable sense that something is wrong or right, honor it. This isn't New Age fluff. This is ancient power awakening in modern souls. And don't expect everyone to understand. They might mock you or brush it off, but they laughed at Noah until the rain came. Your calling won't always come with applause, but it will come with confirmation over and over again in ways so specific and undeniable that even your doubting mind will eventually sit down and let your spirit lead. God is activating a generation that doesn't need a pulpit to preach or a temple to heal. The temples are within us now. The voice of the Most High is echoing through dreams, gut instincts, déjà vu moments, and those sudden, strange knowings. So the next time you just know something, don't question it. Don't suppress it. Smile. That's revelation. That's your sign. That's your call to rise. The time is now. Point 7. A call to stillness and obedience. We live in a world that glorifies hustle. Productivity is worn like a badge of honor, and many confuse being busy with being purposeful. But there are sacred moments in time, divine windows, when the most powerful thing you can do is be still. July 9th and 10th are not ordinary days. They carry a spiritual frequency that whispers, not shouts. And if you're too wrapped up in the noise, you'll miss it completely. Stillness isn't laziness. It's not passivity or procrastination. It's a form of active listening, an intentional pause to align your spirit with divine wisdom. Scientific research supports the power of silence. Studies from Duke Medical School have shown that just 2 hours of silence a day can stimulate the growth of new brain cells in the hippocampus, the region associated with memory and emotion. But beyond biology, stillness is a sacred practice echoed in every spiritual tradition, from the silent meditations of Buddhism to the Christian concept of be still and know that I am God, Psalm 46:10. On July 9th and 10th, take this as a divine invitation to unplug. Fast from social media where everyone's voice competes to be the loudest but rarely the wisest. Disconnect from the constant ping of notifications that hijack your focus and drain your spirit. Use this time instead to reconnect with your source. Journal, meditate, take a slow walk without music or podcasts. Let your soul breathe. When the world goes silent, the voice of God gets loud. That's when the fog clears and direction becomes obvious. That's when old confusion turns into new clarity, and that aching feeling of restlessness begins to calm. Divine alignment never happens in chaos. It happens in the quiet. You don't find your path by running faster. You find it by stopping long enough to see the signs. And here's the thing, not everyone will understand why you're stepping back. Some may see your stillness as weakness or your silence as disinterest. Let them. Because those who truly understand energy, timing, and purpose know that the most profound breakthroughs often come in the quietest moments. So let July 9th and 10th be your sacred pause. Don't just exist, listen. Don't just move, align. The breakthroughs you've been chasing might just be waiting for you to finally be still. In this silence, you don't lose time. You gain clarity, power, and divine direction. Spirit warriors, chosen ones, these dates are not curses, they are callings. Warnings are meant to redirect, protect, and elevate. You're not crazy for feeling a shift. You're not weak for needing solitude. You're not alone in your visions. You are marked, molded, and meant for more. If you ignore the spiritual signs of July 9th and 10th, you may delay your destiny. But if you heed the whispers, guard your mind, pay attention to your dreams, and align your soul, you will walk into August with supernatural clarity and divine authority. Stay awake, stay aligned, stay armored. This isn't the end, it's the activation. Like, comment, I receive this word, and share with a fellow chosen one. We rise together.